to the February WDIC meeting. I think we all know each other here, so I don't think introductions are necessary today. Does anyone have any announcements?
Rachel, I'm not sure if anyone else is having trouble hearing you, but I am.
You're very muffled.
Yeah, I have my speakers all the way up to 100.
Oh no. Okay, it is noisy in here.
I can hear you good, but you're just a little low, but I do have headphones in.
No, I can't hear you at all, Rachel.
I'm gonna try to leave and then join again, and hopefully that will do it. Sorry, guys.
We need Zoom waiting music.
I'm surprised that's not a feature in any of the updates yet.
Annie knows a lot of songs. You can sing for us, Annie.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Mostly Led Zeppelin. I don't know if that's appropriate, but
It's always a favorite.
Yeah, Stairway to Heaven.
that would give her plenty of time to get back in.
Yeah.
You know, that song is 50 years old this year.
Wow.
I was in high school when that came out.
Classic.
Is that any better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Awesome.
Great. Okay, does anyone have any announcements?
Yes, just wanted to make you aware, although some of you may have already received it by email, a program that Southside is sponsoring, in which I will be serving as a moderator for, called Black Perspectives on What Ithaca Needs in a New Mayor. And there'll be the panelists that'll be addressing this question will be Nicole LaFave, Phoebe Brown, Darazi Marte, Kayla Matos, and Jeremiah Sokol. That'll be on this coming Monday at 7 p.m. and on Zoom. And so if you did not get that announcement, let me know and I'll make sure you'll get the announcement so you will be able to click in for the program if your schedules permit.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Annie?
Thanks. I just wanted to ask Ken a question regarding that announcement. I got an email link and then I was trying to figure out if I could share that on Facebook, and I looked on the Human Rights Office Facebook. There wasn't a lot on there. There hasn't been many postings. And then I looked on, is there some place, the county website or the county Facebook page or somewhere where there's a link to share?
No, it's not on our Facebook page, and it's primarily because, you know, it's a Southside event, and we, given the fact that we're a municipality and we're raising, you know, or talking about an issue affecting another, so to speak, we chose not to put it on our particular website. And so, you know,
I don't see it on Southside's Facebook page either.
Oh, okay. So I will ask them if they can post it there as well, because they may be in process of doing that, but I'll check with them to be sure.
Okay, because I'd like to share if they want it shared in that medium.
Sure. Okay, I'll check with Siobhan and see.
Looks like a really great topic. I'm glad that you're helping with that.
Sure. I think, yeah, I think it was something that sort of evolved over time, and Siobhan and I, agreed to do this and to move forward with it. So looking forward to the conversation.
All right, any other announcements from anybody? Okay, so we can move to minutes approval from the January 26th meeting, if everybody had a chance to look those over. Yeah,
I'll
Kate,
move. Oh, so I'll
thank
move
you.
them.
Moved by Kate, seconded by Annie. And any discussion about the minutes? All right, I'm just gonna say all in favor, say aye.
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 Right? Anyone opposing approval of minutes? Awesome. Those.
I'm an aye as
pass
well.
Thanks, Veronica.
Sorry. I'm having some technical problems and I might leave and join from another computer. Just
Okay.
FYI.
All right, whatever you need to do. Thank you. Okay, so discussion items. Anyone who missed in the beginning, Deanna's coming late, so I rearranged a bunch of the discussion items. So I'm starting with the Women's History Month proclamation that Brittany sent out to everyone this morning. If you didn't get a chance to look at them, I can share my screen to pull that up if you want to. Otherwise, just review that. If you have any edits or anything to add, just send that to Brittany. And that's supposed to be for the March 1st legislature meeting. Annie.
I read through it quickly. I didn't see anything that I wanted to like take out. I'm not the best at writing stuff, I'll admit. But I'm just wondering if somebody that is good at that, like to take a look at it and see if we can figure out how to fit it on one page, because that's often desirable to do that. I mean, I don't.
When we do them, when we format them to put them in the frame,
Yeah.
we shrink the margins down super tiny so that it fits on one page. We just print it a little bit bigger for Shauna to read, just so she's not squinting magnifying glass. So it should fit on one page when it's all framed and pretty.
Okay, then I just want to add one more thing. Never mind what I just said. Great, thank you.
Anybody else have anything about the proclamation? Larry?
Don't we usually vote to recommend the passage of proclamations to the legislature? Because I'd be willing to move it if that's the case.
Do we need to do that, Brittany? This is all kind of new for me.
We don't really need to, but we can as a formality if you'd like. We've done it previously.
We at least express our support for it, so nobody seems to object.
Sounds fine to me. You want to go ahead and move that then, Larry?
Oh, I'll move it then.
Okay. Who wants to second it? Seconded by Ken. And I guess we can just all say aye if we approve the proclamation.
Aye.
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 All right. Perfect. That should be set. And then if anybody does have anything to add, just get that to Brittany as soon as you can. Everyone should have that in their email. Okay, so next is the DEIJ strategic planning process update. And Kate was going to handle that. We had a good meeting yesterday to get started on that.
Yes, we did. Can you guys all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right, just making sure. Yeah, so we had an hour-long meeting yesterday. It was Deanna, Leslin, Rachel, and myself, went from 3:30 to 4:30. Series of questions that we went through to sort of get a framing and sort of beginning conversations about where we wanted to go. That I just kind of give you an overview of those points and some of the things that came out that were significant themes in the conversation, if that works. So we started with sort of planning goals. What do we want to accomplish through this process? Really came out, we want to create a baseline of expectations around the work so we can have consistency within each of the departments. Create clear and concise and measurable goals that incorporate feedback loops, and really have quarterly check-ins or reflection points so that we can actually impact culture and track that better over time. And then we wanted to incorporate stretch goals into our planning and maybe looking at setting some RBA goals for our committee and or that particular group to keep everybody accountable, and to make sure that that was done in a language that all the departments would understand since it's sort of already in place. We looked at sort of a theoretical framework, decided that we really liked cultural humility, not humility, cultural humility and equity mindset. That we want to be intrinsically motivated, and that we should really consider both our perspective as a provider and then also the perspectives of the people we're providing services to. Thought that was important. Process and next steps. We thought we need to be clear from the get-go that this is happening, it's not going away, and just active participation from every level of the organization's leadership consistently over time. That would be important. And then we would incorporate feedback from the community. We had a really good discussion around addressing bias and process disruption. How do we make the change we want to see? It really came out that it's not that we're not listening to voices, but that there will be some voices that through their particular belief system just may not want to participate or want to be heard. And so that's okay. That's, but we need to, if we're going to disrupt the status quo, we need to be consistent and we need to be accountable. And that needs to be the message out of the gate. We need to be big and bold and out of the gate and just go with it and then set the standard high is really what we thought about that. We thought about who we need to have at the table. Obviously the chair of the WDIC, some additional legislative representation, CSEA, administrative unions, elected department heads, some blue and white collar representation, Team JEDI, particularly the data analysis. And then we thought things would be important, like having some staff from the cleaning crews and some of those as an example of some of those that we often don't think about and who are really important to shape culture and make sure that we're incorporating everybody from the organization. And then we looked at transparency and communication. And again, just really setting the tone out of the gate that this is what's happening. This is the expectation. This is where we're moving as an organization. And that, really clear and concise about what our goals are and what the end game is. So we're really clear about where we want to go from the beginning. We thought that this work, we want external communication as well, but we thought this work is really internal at this point. And so really focusing on the internal communication at this point. And when we get our ducks more in a row and sort of get the quarterly check-ins and how we're measuring things and what the clear goals are, then we can start to look externally and bring those voices and then some of those feedback loops. And so we realized that we have a lot more work to do and some larger conversations need to happen. It was a really good discussion, I thought. That's what we came up with yesterday. So Rachel, did I cover everything we talked about?
Yeah. Oh dear. Where did everybody? Okay. Sorry, my computer is being really weird. Yes, you covered it great.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions, comments? All right. Okay, so next is the workforce reading and discussion program update. Everyone should have received an email from Deanna last Friday that she sent out to the workforce about the workforce diversity and inclusion reading and discussion program, which we are teaming up with the city of Ithaca on this year. That's taking place March 9th through the 30th on Wednesdays. Hosted again by Belisa Gonzalez. She did our last one that we did too. Title of the book is The Sum of Us, What Racism Costs Everyone and How We Can Prosper Together by Heather McGee. I can put the link in the chat if anybody doesn't have that. But again, that should be in everyone's inbox as well. Um,
Did that go out to,
questions?
did that go out to the WDIC or just the workforce? Because I don't think
That's a good question, Larry. I can't tell from the email I received who it all went out to. But if you didn't get that, I can make sure to forward that on to everyone on this committee.
that would be good, just because I want to be, I don't want to take part in it, obviously, but I want to be up to date. I mean, I think this is, I always think the reading program is really good because it brings people together who don't usually get together if the recruitment is done right, and it helps people to really have a non-judgmental space to learn to speak to each other about complicated topics. So I've always thought this was a great way to accomplish a couple of the long-held goals of this committee, is just
Yeah.
getting to talk about, issues that we don't often talk about.
Agreed. I think it'll be interesting combining with the city too, to have workforce from the city and the county together discussing these topics too. I think that'll be great.
Yep.
All right, so I will get that sent out to everyone on this committee too. Any comments or questions about the reading and discussion program? Okay. So next on the agenda is the 2022 committee goals, which I'm going to be honest, need some work. Henry just sent them to me this morning, and he's got, where is it? Let me see if I can share my screen here. This one. So can everybody see that?
Mhm.
So what he sent was the 2021 goals, which, I mean, we can look through and see which ones we've hit, which ones we haven't. I know we talked about still wanting to add some additions to the committee. Obviously, we'd still be supporting human resources in their work. We created the diversity and inclusion award last year, but we'll need to continue that and get new recipients for 2022. Compliance with ADA. I know we had a meeting with Alan, but I think our consensus with that is that we'll need to revisit that again this year. Sorry.
I'm sorry, you had a meeting with who about
With
ADA?
Alan Lockett from facilities.
Okay,
Were you at that meeting, Larry?
I was not.
Okay, yeah, so we had a meeting with Alan. I can't remember. It was toward the end of the year. I don't remember if it was November or December. So there should be on the Ledge website in the agenda, wherever the meeting notes for that. Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Is I've not heard this person's name. Is he the designated ADA coordinator?
He's not. I'm not sure what his official title is. Lisa, do you know what Alan's?
He's the deputy director of facilities.
Facilities, okay.
And he did basically an ADA compliance report of all of the county's buildings. So, and he shared that, and then the committee members shared feedback with him about some.
Okay, I'll find the minutes and look at the report, and maybe I'll have a conversation with him.
Sure.
Kate, I don't know if what I did made it any larger.
Rachel, can I say something about that topic that we were just,
Please.
that Larry had just brought up?
Yes.
So I can't remember if he actually included a report.
I think it was all verbal.
Right, it could have been just a verbal report that we are in compliance and we asked about certain things. I believe it was, what my sense was, it was the consensus of the committee that, well, even if we are doing what's required, that we want to still keep it as a goal because we want to go above and beyond and do that because there's certain things that, for instance, I asked about, like the doors that went up by the legislature where you come onto the second floor and you come out of that elevator, those doors have to be manually opened by somebody if you need assistance, or if to get through those, there's no push button. And he talked about, certain amount of pressure to open certain doors. And so anyway, we talked about that. We want to make sure it's even more accessible than what's required. So I think, and by the way, Alan is out, Alan Lockett is out right now on medical leave. And we're not sure when he's going to be back, maybe in a month or two. And then, so we might look into asking Finger Lakes Independence Center has somebody that they have, or if they would recommend somebody that could come in. So this might be a next step to get somebody in to give us an evaluation and what other steps that we can do. And this is something that I've been wanting to do for, since I've been here at the legislature. Let's make this as accessible as possible. But with COVID, we were doing just what absolutely needed to be. But I think I'd like us to keep on our radar and figure out what steps we can start to take this year.
Yeah, and I would just, I'll have a conversation offline with a couple of people once I look at the minutes. I would not just take, and I don't know if you said this, but I would just not take from any person that the county is in compliance with the ADA. Now, I'm not saying that the county is or is not, but the county is a pretty big enterprise, and I would want to know from anyone who said that. I would want more, but let me look at the minutes. And I would just also say, I think part of what I have always been interested in is ways to promote that the county has a commitment to the ADA and to hiring people with disabilities without regard to their, all that fancy stuff and the reasonable accommodation efforts. So, but let me look at his minutes and let me look at what's in the minutes from that meeting, and I'll talk to some people because there's stuff going on in the city that I'd like to chat with the county about too.
It just occurred to me too, Larry, that the meeting should be on YouTube, on the county's YouTube page also, so you can probably watch it, which would probably be easier than trying to search through minutes.
So it was which meeting was it?
It was one of the last of the year for 2020.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly which one.
Okay, I'll find it.
Okay, so that one we're keeping. Then we had complete and adopt the diversity statement, which we did. We are working on the diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. Investigating the issue that racism is a public health crisis carries over to 2022. We've done the calendar for notable days. Juneteenth stays on because that happens every year. Okay, oh, sorry, I'm jumping around here. Okay, so then Henry has added some new ideas down here. adding people to the committee, work on the strategic diversity plan, Juneteenth for 2022, use of funding for speakers. I think that's in relation to like the Heritage Month events. Racism as a healthcare issue. Funding Juneteenth as a holiday. I think that's something that's still being worked on. Diversity training for board appointees we had discussed, and equality discussion groupings. So we need to work on just creating a new document for the goals of 2022 rather than having them all here with 2021. But I just got that this morning. So just wanted to share that. And I'm going to start working on, I was hoping to do it before the meeting today, but I just didn't get time. So we'll update those. I'm down to things I was waiting for Deanna for now, I think. I guess I could talk a little about 2022 Jedi goals. Let me do stop sharing. So we did discuss some goals at our last Jedi meeting in January. Each committee, so we have 5 committees in Jedi: communications, access and equity, professional development, data analysis, and recognition and appreciation. So each committee was supposed to get Deanna their committee goals by February 4th. And I think the last I spoke to her about that, she was still waiting for a couple of committees that wanted to meet with her before sending her goals. I'm not really sure what else she would have shared about that. I'm going to check in with her actually and see. Let's see. Okay, sorry, I just see your question here. How do we determine who we added to the committee? To WDIC?
Yeah, just if we're talking about adding people, is there like a certain group we want represented or want represented? I'm sorry.
So I know we had talked about reaching out to a few different groups. Where was that? We had Asian American Association, Latinx Association, and Human Rights Commission is on there for some reason too. And I think Ken, did somebody, I know you had spoke to some groups, didn't you? But nobody really had any interest.
Let's see. I think I may have mentioned this too in the Human Rights Commission meeting. I may have. I had to look through our minutes to see, but I think I did do that.
Yeah, I remember that coming up at some point. Deanna and I had one meeting last year, and we had a list of some names of people to ask, but we never really got beyond that point. And I don't know if we saved that. I must have it somewhere. Of just community members and employees that we knew that might be interested. But if anyone else has ideas, please share them, because I I think we could use some more working members for sure.
How many members is this committee?
I think
Mhm.
it's up to 15.
Right. That's what I think too.
And right
Might be a good
now,
practice. So it might be a good practice to sort of look at our goals when we finalize those for 2022 and maybe look at it through that lens to see if there's any particular person we want to make sure it's at the table.
right.
Mhm.
I mean, I go as a person who doesn't work for Tompkins County. I go back and forth about whether I like that there's people on the committee who also don't, or if I think it should be mostly, I think a balance where are several people who don't work directly for the county
Sure.
is a good idea.
I mean, that's kind of what makes this committee special.
Yeah. Is the mix of
Yes. Trying to think. I know one of the things Deanna wanted to talk about was upcoming conferences. The GARE conference, the membership meeting is coming up April 19th to 21st. They're doing both in person in Portland and virtual. I think we were going to only offer it to folks who wanted to attend virtually. And then Race Forward is also having their Facing Race conference. That's not until November, but it's something to start thinking about. They're doing also in person and virtual. That one is in Phoenix, Arizona. And I think there was some more Deanna wanted to say about that, but I thought I'd at least throw the dates out there.
Rachel, is the registration open for the Race Forward conference?
I don't think registration's open for that one yet.
Okay,
I think just the GARE membership meeting.
okay.
And from what I understand, Deanna wanted people to kind of choose one or the other rather than both. With possibly an option for attending in person in November, I think. I don't know if there's much more I can use to stall. Yeah, Deanna had the rest. Unless anybody has reports or updates, we could skip to that after discussion items.
I could bring something up.
Sure.
And I was gonna maybe wait for Deanna, but I don't know if she's the right person, but Ken and I, and sometimes, and Henry, and Deanna sometimes goes to the diversity consortium meetings. And so I was just wondering, like, how many people we can be invited to that, or if we want to like rotate, for some people who is willing or wants to go to that. I know they often say, in the email for the next time they meet once a month, and it's actually not every month, because there's a couple times a year where they have board meetings instead of that meeting. But they're often saying, hey, you want to, go ahead, bring a coworker or something like that. So it'd be good to know, to get more people there, for some of the meetings. It's almost always an educational topic, and that they'll either, you can do announcements to there if you have somebody if you're having a program coming up, like Dr. Clark is, if you have a job position open and you want to reach out to them. But they, sometimes you break up into small groups and discuss different topics so anyway, I find it very, very useful. Just want to make sure we're getting our, the most we can from that. Or again, maybe we want to, rotate people, like say if Veronica wanted to go and we only had a certain number of people that could go, I could step out for a while. Just, for example, it's Monday or it's Fridays at 10:30, I think it is. I can check.
Actually, I think it's 10. I think it's from 10 to noon. I think. Let me double check because we had one just last week. Let's see.
I'm looking at the website and it says
Yeah, it's
10 to
10.
11:30.
Yeah, 10 to 11:30.
And I
So
think,
who do we
think
need
I
to
w-
contact to find out how many people we can have?
I think our membership is up to 5.
Okay.
Is that right, Dr. Clark? And it used to be that we could barely have 1 or 2 people attending regularly. So it's great that we have multiple people attending regularly
Mhm.
now. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Participation on our part. But, I haven't attended since I've been upstairs from HR's, but I know several of you attend regularly.
Yeah, I began attending regularly. I guess it would have been last fall, and and also to serve on the board, the DCTC board, as a county representative.
That's my heart good because I was involved with the coalition or the consortium when I was at Slick, and it was at a time when it was really struggling with mission and vision and participation. So it's good to know that things are going well, because I think it's a really great organization. I'm glad the county is really involved.
Has anyone else got any reports or updates or anything they want to share while we wait for Deanna?
Oh, I was just going to mention that also. Kate and I are involved in. Well, actually, we're the co-presidents of the Executive Exchange, or XX, and we've been involved with DCTC through that means as well. So I think we've got some pretty decent coverage so far, but we can always add new people.
How often does the executive exchange meet? Oh, you're muted.
We meet every other month as a group. And in between, and then the alternative month, we meet just for a social activity. So this is a schedule that we adopted this year. And so Kate and I will be serving as co-presidents for this year and next. And then we'll kind of pass that on so that we, all the load would not be just left to one person.
So what is the membership? Like, what does that consist of? What?
Membership is comprised of executive directors of nonprofits in the county.
Okay. So
We have a total list of 100 or so, but on average, we get about, at best, maybe 30 people to participate during the.
You have to be an executive director of a nonprofit. You can also work in, I think it's county or city, but have director in your title, which is how Ken and I are still associated.
okay.
The actual meetings happen, the content meeting for the larger groups happen the first Friday of every other month from 11:45 to 1. And then the social hours are happening on the fourth Thursday or the second Thursday from 4:30 to 5:30. So.
Yeah.
um,
And
Have
then,
you been able to do those in person?
No, it's been
no,
online.
not of late. Not since, we took over. I think we had a couple of in-person events one in the, maybe two in the summer, one in the fall, and since then, nothing.
Brittany, Deanna's texting me that she's in the waiting room and needs to be made a panelist.
Just let her in.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome.
Hey.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, so we are at Team Jedi goals.
Sure. So first of all, I wanted to apologize. As a part of the work of reimagining, the City of Ithaca Police Review Board meets at the exact same time that you are. And they've been trying to meet with us for 3 or 4 months based upon holiday schedule. So I told them we were middle talking. I finally said, I have to go. The Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee is meeting. I have to leave. So that was the schedule conflict. They were asking for an update on the process. Again, always trying to think it's center equity, but knowing that you guys are the squad. In terms of Team Jedi, tomorrow the team will be meeting to finalize goals. They met last month and we thought we'd have those completed by this month, but with a very judicious process, we have to tweak a couple of things. And so each committee, the 5 committees have come up with their goals for the year. Specifically, some of the highlights around communications are they're trying to figure out what type of newsletter that can be sent. Nothing that's too much, but at the same time, I know we all get tons and tons of email, but what types of communication should be sent, what types of town halls we should be having. We have our data and assessment committee that will be working with us really closely on the diversity strategic planning process. And thank you, Kate, I'm sure for a robust update on our meeting yesterday. So they will be specifically assigned to this group. Then our professional development education committee will be charting out trainings for the next year, a minimum 1 training per quarter. But then if I have more money, not that I need more money right this second, then we can do more trainings because trainings are very expensive, especially quality trainings. We've actually already conducted several trainings this year with some department specific things that are happening. Specifically, we'll be doing some training on the LGBTQ community with the HR department. We want to update our forms. We want to know, like, from the time that people come to the door and you're hired, what does that look like? What does that experience look like? And so what is the training and also the experiential opportunities that people need to have to be successful in those spaces? And so we'll be working with Luca Maurer on those trainings. And so we're really excited that he has agreed to do training and kind of being our resident expert on some of these things, in addition to some other trainers that will be working with us as well. In addition to just a few of those things, we'll be putting together just a brief summary of those goals, and I'll email that to the group. So that's what's happening with Team Jedi. They are off and running, always coming up with really good ideas. I also met with the probation department this week for the National Probation Conference that's coming up in Syracuse, or I think it's the state of New York probation conference. And they've been asked to do a presentation on Team Jedi based upon their affiliation to the group. And so we're getting a lot more support there. We also have to do some work in Trumansburg. So the moral of the story is I'm really excited that our employees are feeling empowered to share. And so because they feel like they are part of something that is bigger than them, and that other people are asking what the county is doing to center equity, and that they feel like Team Jedi is a space for them to do some of that work. And that's a really exciting thing where people they're not looking to me, they're looking to me for support at the same time, trying to empower them with the tools, language, training, right skill set to be able to go out and do the work. So lots of great things with Team Jedi, and just a really great group of people. And when I say great, I can't say great enough about the quality of human beings that are there.
And we
none
have
of them
some
are
serious probation participation too on Jedi, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next is the Juneteenth holiday process.
So over the last several months, there's been lots of progress on this discussion nationwide. Henry had asked for the process, or asked for Ruby and I to provide a process or what the process would be. And so sending him that information, knowing that all of the information would be, for some of it could have cost implications, and that there would be potentially a bargaining process involved. And so with that, we sent the information for legislative consideration. But then more importantly, that's going to be off my plate and to legislators for consideration and other good folks that there is movement there. Juneteenth this year is actually on a Sunday, so the actual public holiday would be June 20th. And so from there, that would be up to our decision makers and policymakers to determine what the next steps would be.
Sorry, I just have a quick question. So that would include deciding whether it was a day that was just given or whether it was being traded for another holiday?
I think it has to be decided. Does that
Right.
make sense? So
Right.
the options are unlimited, and say that way, because there's so many ways to do things, and I think that'll be up to the legislature to decide how they want to go about it.
Okay, Annie?
Thank you for the updates, Deanna. Good to see you.
Glad to see you.
So one question I had, where you talked about, the part that has to go to the legislature, does that have to be through this committee? Just looking at, it's already February. Is there something, time ticks away? I know on doing these big projects. So is that something that's going to go through this committee that we vote on and send it, because then it would have to go to Budget, Capital and Personnel Committee too, and then the legislature? Or is it something that's going a different way, like through administration?
No, I think it would go through the committee. Oh, go ahead, Lisa. I don't want to speak out of turn. Go ahead, please.
No, so it's a little bit tricky because it's also involves topic that's, mandatory topic of collective bargaining. So this committee is made up of more than just legislators. So I think we'll share the information, and then you guys can, with the legislature, and you can determine which path you'd like to take with it. But it's the material is usually something that would be discussed in executive session, because it involves the bargaining with bargaining units. And this committee is just a little bit, the makeup of this committee is a little different than our other committees.
Okay, and then is there anything that, say for Juneteenth, we have to look at for budget wise to come through the committee? Is it?
I would say it depends on your decision to set. Lisa, I don't want to speak out of turn. I think it's.
Oh,
well, I guess I was thinking, I guess I'll be clear, any celebrations, that aspect of it, not the holiday.
Oh, do you mean like the
for
process,
employees.
do you mean like the process we did last year, where we had a whole week worth of activities and things of that nature?
Right. I'm just wondering if there's anything like that going on that we would need to get money for, that we want to prepare ahead,
Dr. Clark, take it away.
Yes, I am. I put out a call initially, and I'm going to put out a second call for committee to help with the planning for this. We do have, as mentioned in the minutes from last month, a speaker, Anna Gordon-Reed, who was scheduled to speak on actually June 13th, the week before the actual holiday. I kind of used the framework of last year's schedule, which led up the activities which led up to the event. So she's scheduled for Monday, June 13th. And it's just a matter of putting together the rest of the details for that week, and having a committee discussion to determine, indeed, do we want to replicate what we did last week while also doing some different types of things. For example, because we had the film documentary on the 26th Colored Regiment that mustered out from Ithaca to participate in the Civil War, and then the play. But what will that look like this year? Do we want to use the same framework and just add some different pieces to it? Just what? So that's something that'll be a committee decision. So I will be again sending out another, well, not SOS, but a call to duty, shall we say.
And would you like to mention that we'd be partnering with the city again? I think they're interested
Yes.
as well. So,
Yes.
So the trade was, I'm doing the workforce reading and discussion program this year, and Dr. Clark is taking over Juneteenth. And so there will be work, we'll all be still working together. Just Dr. Clark is the captain of the ship for the Juneteenth activities this year, but knowing that anytime he calls for our support or in terms of activities, budget wise, last year we budget, WDIC did budget money for Juneteenth. And so as soon as that week is prepared for those requests, then we will, I'm assuming this group would want to consider that.
So Ken, when you sent out an invitation for the committee, you didn't get any bites at all yet?
None, no. And I know.
Was that just sent to Jedi or was it?
No, it was sent to the last year's committee members.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to send it again.
Okay. I wonder if, I don't know if it would be Michelle, but somebody at the city could see if there's other people
Oh, Shelley?
that work for this. Shelley, yeah, sorry. That there must be other people in the city that would maybe want to help with that too.
It's a good idea. I'll ask.
Who else was it besides Shelley from the city that was on the committee last year?
Leslin and Cynthia Brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Cynthia too. Right. Okay. Okay, so the last thing I think was the upcoming conferences, Deanna, and I did share the dates of those, but I know you had some more details to share about those.
So typically how it has been for the last couple of years, there are a couple of conferences that staff like to participate in. It's the GARE conference, which is the Government Alliance on Racial Equity, but then also there's Race Forward. This year, they're both being held in 2022. The GARE conference will be in the month of May, and then the Race Forward conference will be in November. There are in-person and virtual options. I am looking to identify what this committee is interested in sponsoring, or people here are interested in participating, and also kind of give me the lead on what this group of committee is thinking, and then I can work with Lisa on potential funding for both. We're considering both. Initially, I was going to do an call to members of Team Jedi, but knowing that there has been preference for the Race Forward conference, so I didn't want to offer that and then offer another one if there was not going to be funding for both. Specifically, the Facing Race conference is November 17th to the 19th, and they're asking people, if you attend in person, travel plus the conference registration is $550, and early registration closes March 15th for that. And then the GARE conference early registration closed today, but the regular pricing of it is $150 for virtual, but then it's $225 if you wanted to attend in person. I'm encouraging virtual participation at this point. That's what our budgets can sustain. And so anybody that asks me to go in person, I'm like, go find your supervisor. But I am happy to sponsor, anything less than $200, if you work that out. So I wanted to ask this committee if, first of all, if any of you wanted to attend, and then we could work on coming up with rates, because the more people that we get to attend these things, the better rate the organization gets. And so one is, do we have preference for one or the other, or do you want to do both? But again, my preference is towards a virtual option, knowing that for Facing Race, that's $180 virtually, and then the maximum for the GARE conference would be $225.
I think I myself would prefer Facing Race, only because I don't think that's one I've attended before. The GARE membership meeting I've done a couple times now.
Yeah.
Annie?
Thanks. I've attended the GARE one before. I do like the idea of doing it virtually, or asking people offering it for people to attend virtually so that more people can come. And then, if we have enough people, we could maybe get a group price, even more of a discount. So since I've attended at least once, I don't know if we want to give priority for those, who are interested, who haven't, attended. And then if, and then open it up, if depending on how many people ask to do that, to other people who have already gone. Just wondered what folks thought about that.
And Veronica, I know that you're a newer member here. Are you familiar with either one of these conferences? Because we could just be talking to you. If you're not, we're happy to send you the links and information. Because you're talking to some oldies but goodies on here who've been like, here it comes again.
It's all good. I'm Googling everything that I don't understand, and it's working. But I've and I maybe obviously haven't been to either conference, but I know some people not in the government sphere who've been to Facing Race and like raved about it and said it was wonderful.
Just one thing about the Facing Race conference is we did it virtually last time and people felt like the energy was better in person. They also had some sound problems virtually. However, I'm still doing virtual until I feel good about it. It's my own thing. And so nobody else's thing. But I'm assuming that, lessons learned from the last conference and that it would be a smoother endeavor. And last year, I think, or the times we did, we know Henry did attend last time as well. And so I know that we could, with the WDIC budget, I don't know the legislative rules around the conferences. I know I've heard some conversations recently through BCP, but I know that they could potentially use some funding from the WDIC budget to support some of these things. And I know WDIC, we're special, and I think we're the only legislative committee that has a budget in this way. Our 12,000 strong, or $12,850 around there that we have. And if we keep costs down, we can sponsor more people. So any other thoughts or ideas, or you want me to just say, here's a budget, we could sponsor this many people?
I would probably lean toward attending Facing Race.
Okay.
Most likely, I've been to each. I went to the 2020 Facing Race and Gale last year, and enjoyed both. But if it comes down to choice, I think I'd choose Facing Race.
And also, this isn't, working with and the employees and staff and things like that. Ken, Dr. Clark, you're in a unique situation as a department head. So we're not discouraging people from using the department budget, but just knowing that WDIC budget is finite, and then I have a finite budget,
sure.
But I'm more than happy to use some for Team Jedi if they're interested, use some of those funds as well.
I would use departmental funds for me.
Well, thank you, Dr. Clark. That please up another seat for somebody who doesn't have department.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
So process-wise, are we okay? Are we confident in considering using some WDIC funds, maybe up to like a couple of $1,000s of the 12,000 to sponsor some employees and some folks or maybe some people on here to go to the conference, knowing that we've spent an abysmal amount of money the last few years, like less than $1,500. Like we just don't spend that much money on this country.
I would be happy with that. I would particularly be happy if it were people who, were from other parts of the organization and people who hadn't ever been to something.
Sure, absolutely.
Because we might as well start getting, people used to thinking about and being in these contexts, even if their job doesn't appear to impinge on issues of race, diversity. Everybody's job in the organization impinges on these discussions, and it's helped by being exposed to, like I was saying about the reading group, somebody from, a frontline staff person who goes to a Facing Race, or a social worker from the mental health department, or somebody from the highway department. I'd be interested in sending people like that.
That's a great idea.
Who wouldn't necessarily think, oh, I drive a snowplow for the county. I don't know if, but anyway, you know what I mean. The people who we don't usually think of as sending to these, it would be good to get people exposed. I mean, of course, we're not going to drag people out of their departments if they don't want to go, but there might be people who would be interested. That's why I like it.
Thank you.
Right, I like that, Larry, because we were just talking with Arel from facilities this morning, and there's 17 staff members who work in our cleaning department. And that's a lot of people who don't, well, it's a lot of people. And it's possible that they might not get, invited to a lot of stuff like this.
But they also might be interested in it. Maybe it's some personal interest they have. They read a lot of books, they know a lot of poets, but they don't, they're not in the administrative or programming part of the county, and so they don't hear about this stuff. But we've always wanted to get these tools to everybody.
Yeah.
Right, and when we're doing the outreach, they, to keep in mind that they don't have, often don't sit at a desk with computers. And I know a lot of times in emails that go out, we often say, and if, to print this out or somehow get the information to people in your department that don't have a computer, but maybe for this, if we're doing it, we can actually have handouts that we, and go, and go do like 5-10 minutes at one of their department meetings to really push it home, to those people. You put a face with it, and here's a handout, and let us know, and we'll help you sign up.
Oh, that's a great idea. Ann, can I show you something? This makes me so excited. Hold on, I just gotta
Sure.
roll back for a second. So you gotta come with me. I got these posters in my office for the workforce reading and discussion program that I'm trying to put
awesome.
out on all of these things. Just what you're saying. We got to take our show on the road. And then also, as we look for trying to work with minoritized groups, specifically Black people, as we start the community healing plan, we have these flyers that we're handing up in these targeted places. And so when you said that, I'm like, this is so exciting. Anybody want to go out and talk to people, and meet them and elbow everything. We're not shaking hands yet, but but happy to, get as close as we it's good. And so I'm happy to go and meet people. And then Lisa, I know Lisa will want to go too, because she loves going out and meeting people. Right, Lisa?
Every chance I get, yes, I love it.
I'm gonna be called into her office right after this is over. But yes,
I'd
absolutely.
be willing to help out in any way with that.
Sure. So as
You
we
and I
get
can
closer-
go on the, you and I can go on the road and go talk to different departments and stuff, sure. Or whoever else wants to help, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So as we can get our communications together and figure out what the registration dates are, especially if we're going to target the facing race, it seems like that's the one that most people are interested in. And we will send less people to the GARE conference, the annual meeting, and our organization is a member, so we have access to a lot of the materials anyways. And we can put something together so we can do this, but also we can tie this to our diversity statement work that we're doing, which is really exciting, you guys. We're all going to get on a video. You just don't know it yet. It's going to be awesome. And Dom doesn't know it yet. They're Dominic work either. So, but anytime that we can talk about this and share the employees saying that this is a paradigm shift, these are things we are continue to lean into and push into, I think it's critically important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is our last discussion item for today. Do we need a motion to adjourn? Or I don't remember if we do or not. I don't think we do.
No, you don't.
Okay, thanks,
Almost.
Annie.
In case we
need
did.
it. I got you.
Kate said.
I got you.
she'd
Second,
motion.
third, we're good.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks all for coming.
Thanks for chairing our meeting, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. Will you let me
Yeah,
know
thank
what
you.
I need to do next?
Yes. Yeah. We didn't add anything to your to-do list while you were gone, I promise.
Oh, you're going to tell her about those things, those 10 things later then. Okay.
Do we have goals though? Can I ask that?
So
Okay.
No.
Sorry. Okay.
But I am, and I planned, because Henry sent me that list this morning, but it includes
Okay.
2021. So I'm going to work on the next couple days about just making a list for 2022. I'll send that out to everybody for input, and then
Sure.
and then we will have them.
Sure. No, thank you, because that's what I used to build the budget to help with this. That's why I asked to have goals. And we can talk
Yeah.
about some things, because there had a couple things that were still holdouts from the climate surveys. They wrapped that up, rolling out the values we talked about before, including the diversity statement. So happy to be helpful and supportive.
Yeah, and really
whatever.
that's coming up next year, the climate survey, right? It's 2023. So I know we talked about, I don't know, adding to that or beefing up some of the DEI questions on there. So that's something that we'll have to work on too. So yeah, I'll work on that and get it out to everybody.
And we have a proclamation for Women's History Month, though?
Yes, we
Yes,
do.
okay.
And everybody's got that. So if I told everyone, if they have any additions, send them to Brittany.
Thanks, Deanna, for sending us the info regarding the book, the reading group.
Well, thank you. I hope some of you please encourage your friends, frenemies, foes to come to the Workforce Reading and Discussion Program. Bring your lunch with you. Okay, you can't read upside down. I'll try it again. So
I hung
beautiful.
posters here.
Oh, thank you. And we can print them for you in color in county administration. So
I printed them in color here.
Oh, it's fancy. No, Rachel, I couldn't until last week. I didn't have permission. I didn't know I didn't have permission to print color.
Oh,
So
well, you just let me
Lisa-
know.
Lisa runs a tight ship up here. No kids. So I literally clicked the button that says, "You do not have permission." I said, "I don't know, you have to be around here to print something in color, but it sure isn't me." So
I don't have permission at the legislature, so just saying.
I said, "Mother, may I?" And she said, "Yes." She said, "No, you may not." So, but yes, so thank you all for your support. And we will be putting these up at the different departments.
Great. All right, guys, till next time.
Send some our way too.
Oh, absolutely. Dr. Clark is very exciting. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great evening, everybody.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
We'll all do the same.
Bye.